Teaching the Rookies, Episode 11. The campsite in Arizona was one of my favorites, a wide-open BLM spot with plenty of room for everyone and a view that stretched for miles. Miss Daisy and I had been parked there for a couple of days, enjoying the warm desert breeze and the quiet. Well, mostly quiet. A few sites over, a group of young nomads had just arrived in a caravan of mismatched vehicles, an old van, a Jeep with a rooftop tent, and a little Prius that looked like it barely made it. They were laughing and chatting loudly, but as I watched from my chair, it became pretty clear they were new to this lifestyle. They spent hours trying to get their solar panels set up, holding them at weird angles and scratching their heads over the wiring. Their campfire smoked like crazy, and their tarp flapped noisily in the wind, barely attached to anything. Sadie gave me her classic, "Are we going to do something about this?" look. I chuckled and gave her a pat. "All right, girl, let's go introduce ourselves." I wandered over, waving as I approached. "Hey there, I'm Marge. Need a hand?" A young woman with a bandana tied around her head looked up, relief flashing across her face. "That obvious, huh?" "Not to worry," I said, grinning. "We've all been there." Over the next couple of hours, I walked them through the basics. I showed them how to angle their solar panels properly and hook them up safely. I explained how to build a fire that burns clean and steady, without billowing smoke into your neighbor's campsite. I even gave them a quick tutorial on securing their tarp, using a few spare bungee cords I had lying around. "You're like a camping wizard," one of them said, laughing. "More like a camping grandma," I replied, winking. By the time the sun started to set, their camp looked a lot less chaotic. The fire crackled gently, the tarp was taut, and their solar panels were soaking up the last rays of sunlight. They invited me to stay for dinner, spaghetti cooked on a camp stove, and we ate together around the fire, sharing stories. I learned that they'd all quit their jobs to travel, pooling their savings to see how far they could go. They were excited, full of dreams and big plans, but also a little overwhelmed. "It's harder than we thought it'd be," the bandana-wearing woman admitted. "There's so much to learn." I nodded. "It is hard, especially at first, but you'll get the hang of it. Just remember to be patient, with the road, with your rigs, and with yourselves." Before I headed back to Miss Daisy, I dug through my supplies and handed them a few extra odds and ends. A roll of duct tape, some spare batteries, and a little guidebook on desert camping I'd picked up years ago. "Pay it forward when you get the chance," I said, waving goodnight. The next morning, I saw them packing up to leave. They stopped by my site to say goodbye, thanking me for the tips and the supplies. "Where are you headed next?" I asked. "Utah," one of them said. "We heard there's a great BLM spot near Zion. You should join us." I smiled, tempted by the invitation. "Maybe I will. Safe travels, kids." As they drove off, I couldn't help but feel proud of them. They reminded me of myself when I first started this journey, unsure but determined, learning as I went. Sadie climbed into the passenger seat as I started packing up Miss Daisy. "Think we should catch up with them, girl?" I asked. She wagged her tail, and I took that as a yes. The road is full of rookies, and if we're lucky, we get to help a few of them find their footing. It's a good feeling, knowing you've passed on a little wisdom to the next generation of wanderers.